So welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with Tanzi and Michelle. So this week, and there's a lot of passion around this one, is the power of a team.
Yes.
We found a number of quotes. This is the first one we're kick off, and I think we'll weave in another one, and I'm sure Tanzi will make one up as we go along because she has those two in her back pocket. So this first one is, it's amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. And that was Harry Truman. And when I think about that, it's funny because the whole idea of team, and people say it all the time, right? There's no I in team. And this is that quote that says, it's about having the common shared goal. It's about tapping into everybody and their strengths, what they're passionate about, and knowing that the pride and the good feeling is getting across the line and achieving that goal. And that and it shifts for me when I think about changing from the word I did this, I did that, to we. And I think that sends the message, especially as a leader, right? That I may be the one in front of the room, or I may be the one that's shaking the hand of somebody to acknowledge or accept whatever reward or recognition we got. But I didn't do this on my own. I am basically a representation of the entire group that came together to accomplish what we just did. And that's what that means to me as far as teamwork, is that it is the sum. I mean, we're greater than the sum of our parts, right?
Absolutely.
And I know you have passion around this one. So what's on your mind?
Jeez, when I think about teams, I think my heart is just overwhelmed. I've had the opportunity to work on some of the best teams I feel like ever in all time. And some of the accomplishments of those teams were just amazing, second to none. Don't underestimate people that are brand new or that may not have experiences, because it's those outside eyes that sometimes lead to the best ideas, best processes, and some of the best patient outcomes. A lot of passion around teams.
So when you say that, I'm going to take us back to, and this was the unit that you opened. It was a brand new unit, right? So you started with 15 beds and then you expanded to, open the other 15. And so you literally, and it was very controversial when you did this, because you were hiring new grads. And you had experienced nurses too, but you had new grads coming on, and clinical managers didn't necessarily do that at the time because there's more work involved.
Yes.
Or perceive more work in getting them up to speed after their new grads. But I mean, my God, what you guys were able to do on that unit, because it was process improvement, continuous improvement. And I remember working with you, on the outside periphery, and it was like, stay the course, because you're doing with your unit and your team what people said couldn't be done.
Absolutely. That's because sometimes when you put common people together, you achieve uncommon goals. And so that's what I mean when I say don't underestimate the power of new. When people are new, they are in a position to want to do a good job. And most people fundamentally want to do a good job, just period. But when you're new on a job, think about it. You want to make sure that you're crossing all your T's and dotting all your I's. I mean, you're in it 100%. And so I feel like I wanted to tap into that. I wanted to tap into that about 100 times, because I hired like 100 nurses.
I know.
And, yes, it was very controversial. In fact, I was advised, that's probably not a good idea. But let me tell you why it was a great idea. Because we achieved uncommon results. People were coming near and far to come see what we're doing, asking questions about, how did you do that? And it was just simply because we recognize that we're on a team working together.
But what were some things, Tanzi, if you think back, because I know some of the stuff, right? But people listening, what were some of the things that you did to basically create and bring people together and create a team? And these are people that hadn't worked together before, right?
No.
So what were some of the things that stand out for you as a leader that you did to be able to pull people together and create a team, build a team?
You know, I think back to some of the early decisions I made around building a team. And I think what I did, which was probably the key to the whole thing, is that those that I hired initially, I brought them together and I set expectations. And we talked about what it meant to be a business owner, because this is not my unit. This is our unit. And you are a business owner like I am. And so we had that conversation. And then I put them on the panel and said, now you're going to select your team members. And so we went through panel interviews. And, you know, in most cases, the leader would probably make the final decision. But in this case, I didn't make the final decision. The team made the final decision. And that was important because you want to make sure that you have a team of people that are going to work well together. And by getting them involved in the selection process, it's like gold, right? And so, yes, were there times where they made a selection that I probably
wouldn't have been your first choice? You're like, I don't know if I would have done that.
I don't know if I'd have done that. But you know what? It turned out to be the best decision. It was the best decision for our business. And I tell you, I am so proud of that team today. I mean, I still keep in contact with a lot of those nurses that I worked with, and a lot of them are doing so very well. And just what we learned and accomplished together on that unit just propelled not only me, but propelled them and advanced them in their careers as well. So I really feel like I have a lot to be proud about when I think about that team.
Yeah. You know, interesting, some of the stuff you called out, and it reminded me of just its basics that I think it's important to call out, is the whole idea that you have peer interviews, right? Panel interviews with team members that are selecting who's going to, you know, a new member for their team. Because somebody years ago told me that if people are selecting, they're going to be invested in that team member. And so they're going to make sure that if there's gaps or someone's stumbling along, this isn't someone who was foisted on them, right?
Yes.
Literally, it's someone they said, come join our team. And so we're going to make sure that you're taken care of and that you're doing well and that you're getting the support that you need, which is absolutely a game changer. It's a game changer.
It really was, Michelle. I tell you, some of the team members that they selected, I mean, there were times where, you know, maybe one of them would come in and said, you know, I don't know about this person. I'm really concerned that they're not going to make it. This person, they're not meeting the goals and objectives of the orientation. And so instead of just jumping in for the save, I asked them, well, what are you going to do about it? What do you suggest we do? And, you know, it was like, well, I don't really know. I think at this point, maybe I'll work with them. Let's give them an additional 3 shifts. Let's see what they do. And let me sit down and talk with them and go over kind of where the opportunities are. And let's see how things look at the end of the 3 days. I said, that's a great idea. Let's connect at the end of the 3 days and let's see how this person does. And so you know, it was kind of like me coaching them kind of along the way to figuring out whether this team member would work or not. And it was the best thing I think that I ever did, because I empowered them to go out and figure it out, make a decision. And
go ahead. No, I mean, I'm sitting here going, yes. And the thing that comes to mind for me, had you stepped in and said, let me take over, right? The ownership and accountability, okay, which is a word that you brought up earlier, would have shifted to you.
Yes.
And not to them. And it's a really hard thing for leaders not to take over. I'll just take it and go from here. But I love the way that you said, so what are your thoughts on basically what you could do about it, right? What are your next steps? This is your team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're raising leaders here.
Yeah.
Not followers. They are also leaders. And that was it. What are you going to do about it? You're the leader. You're the decision maker. What are next steps looking like? And so, I'm telling you that I think was pivotal in the success of a lot of the team members on that unit.
Yeah.
I think it just really, really pushed them beyond what they thought they could do, beyond what they thought they could see, into a realm of just outstanding performance.
Yeah. Well, and it just the problem solving that took place in that unit, the outcomes that you had, the engagement of your team. I mean, literally, you got attention of the CNO of the organization to come down to see what your unit in this one hospital was doing.
Yes,
which is powerful. Yeah. The other thing, it was so funny when you were talking about owners and running a business. And I remember with a team that I had, I did that same approach with them. And it's one of those things of, this is your business. So what do you need to know to be able to run your business? What do you need to know whether or not your business is doing well? What do you need to know whether, if you can take on more? Do you have bandwidth? What's the skill set? I mean, so we actually went through that process, because this isn't me running this thing. This is us.
Yes.
Because at the time I had 16 direct reports. I don't know all the moving parts and pieces of what's going on. And I think that's a powerful thing to do. And it can be scary for a leader. Yes. But at the same time, it's so much easier when because this was one of the things I remember saying is, it's not like this. And it's going to go to this other quote, right? It's not that I'm above anyone. We're all on the same team. We just have different roles.
Yes.
And that's the difference. What is this wooden quote? It's make sure team members know they are working with you and not for you. And I think that's the power in what you're talking about, is the with you part of it.
Yes, absolutely. It's all about letting them know that they're working with you. Mm-hmm. Again, it goes back to the whole idea that this is our business. Mm-hmm. This is not my business. Our CNO has entrusted us with this unit as our business. We have a responsibility to run it effectively, to have outstanding patient outcomes, and to work collaboratively. Oh my gosh, I can never say that word.
Collaboratively. I'm here for you.
Together. Anyway. And so,
I have trouble with the word specific.
Oh my God. It's so challenging, but that is the task that we were charged with. Mm-hmm. And, we got to a point of trying to determine what does our business look like? How do we know that we're doing a good job? Mm-hmm. And so we came together and figured out some key indicators, if you will, that we would monitor and watch daily. And we met each shift in front of our huddle board with those key indicators and watched them and decided, okay, we're doing well here. Hey, we're not doing really well here. Yeah. And then the question to the team is, okay, how do we fix it? Mm-hmm. And it was really good that it wasn't, hey, Tanzi, how do we fix it? Mm-hmm. The question was to the team, how do we fix it? And that was the best part, because when you ask the team, how do we fix it? You get the best answer. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Me as the leader, I don't have the best answer. I may not have an answer at all.
Sit there like a deer in the headlights.
Like, I don't know how to fix this. But when you ask the team, I tell you, each time I asked the team, I was so impressed and just like wowed with some of the answers that I got. I mean, just things that I would have never thought of. I mean, they were absolutely brilliant. Best team ever.
I love it. This is not a final topic for us. This one we're going to have to do on other episodes and unpack a little bit more, because there's a lot there. on the power of a team and the different aspects of team. I want to ask you one final question, because I'm really curious. Is there a moment that you can think of that you're like most proud of your team? Like something that happened that just like.
Oh my gosh, I feel like we had so many amazing moments. Most proud of the team. Let me think about this. We had a lot. I think the moment that I've had so many, so let me just
You're fine.
caveat by saying that
I'm sorry.
This is a really tough decision.
I know, it's like put her on the spot. I thought,
I know.
Tanzi has so many, I'm sure, especially with that team.
I think some of the best moments or that I can remember with the team is their ability to run the unit and make decisions with confidence without me.
Yeah.
Those were the best moments. I was so proud of them.
I love that.
I was so proud. And I knew that the time was, it was coming to the point where, it would be time for me to kind of bow out and go on a different journey, because I feel like they were ready. Each and every one of them, they're ready to fly. And it was really, really an amazing thing to see.
It's so funny you say that. And then we'll wrap. What came to mind for me is like your team is like the birds when they fly, the ducks or the geese, right? Is you'll have the point person and then they'll drop off and somebody else goes to point and then they come, and that's team. Yes. That was your team, to your point, because you could have any one of them step in and take the lead, and it didn't depend on you for everything to keep running.
Yes, they absolutely ran it. I mean, our motto as a team was everyone should know how to drive the ship, everyone. And we made sure that everyone had the skills, the tools to lead or drive the ship. Yeah. And so I think when we got to that point, I knew it was time to get into something else because they were ready. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. I love this topic. So what's one or two that you want people to walk away with on the power of a team? One thing that I want them to walk away with: don't underestimate new. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think the other two for me, Tanzi, is it's not just the assembly of the people, right? Because I don't think I know the work and the dedication, the commitment, and I'll use you an example. I knew other leaders have done similar things in building effective teams. It went beyond the workplace. You got to know them on a different level, right? And make connections with them to where you could connect with them on a different level. And I don't mean that you were going to Christmas dinner with them or anything else, but it was more than just, hi, you're a nurse on the unit or you're a CNA or whatever it may be. But it was the human aspect. And I think that solidified. I remember the Christmas gifts you would give them with the socks or I think that brought it together because it was personal. Yes. And so I made a point. Yes. I made a point to get to know them. Yeah. Or to find a way to connect with each and every one of them. Yes. And that was so important. Yeah. So I think that's the message too. It's not just the assembly of people, but it's the effort of making those connections, between you and them with each other. It's like, what does that look like? And for you had, like you said, 100 people. Not every team is the size of 100, but right. I think that's a standout thing in the creation of, it's not the assembly of, but the power in that is those connections across between the leader and the individual team members. So anyway, absolutely. I love that. Thank you for this. Leadership Soundbites, the Power of a Team with Tanzi and Michelle. And please like, share, subscribe. Topics are always great. Yes. And until next time, thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye, everyone.